Are you ready?
Starting now?
Now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
But
you're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And I feel like I've been here before.
Yeah, I think we just did this like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, we literally got, did we even get 2 minutes in? I don't even think we did.
We didn't.
I'm just sitting there talking, and I heard you say something, and then I kind of glanced over at my screen, and you were gone, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have to worry about editing that. I just went out, deleted the whole fucking studio, and started over. So, but all right, yeah, we were testing out equipment, and then Mike's Wi-Fi went out, so we're running. Not that it matters to anyone else, but we're about 25 minutes behind our schedule, and I say quote unquote,
right,
our schedule, but So what I was saying, and I don't know how much you heard me ramble on before, but so since it's I know you got the reading to do. I'm figuring we'll do step 7 since tomorrow. Well, when people are, well, because next week we have a guest, and the week after that, don't we have a guest the week after that too?
No, the week after that, I'm going to be there.
Oh yeah, the 14th. That's right, you will be here.
Yeah, okay. So I figured we'd do the step then. No fronts, man.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's not a problem. That's one of the things I wanted to ask about, since when people are listening to this, it's actually the first. So,
right.
But that's cool. It doesn't matter to me. We can wait till we did it middle of the month last time. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
A couple of different, I do have just one or two different like podcast things. And then we got an email I want to talk to you about, a message from a follower, but, the two things on the podcast, let me ask you these two things first before we actually get into your reading, just to get them out of the way.
All right.
So speaking of the recording and stuff like that, so I'm going to be in Beaver Dam on the 21st, which is July 21st, which is a Friday.
Right.
And that's, Katie's parents and stuff like that. That's their house that we're renting out there. But so I'm checking with her through all the stuff. They have internet, but it's through a Verizon jetpack. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the signal's going to be. I know for a fact I cannot plug in to it. So I'd be straight Wi-Fi, which is fine. But if this goes out, then it kind of jacks everything up. It's a different story. If yours goes out, but if the main thing goes out, it could crap out everything. So what I was thinking was maybe, and it's up to you, we could record, rather than trying to take a chance, we could record that Thursday, which is the 20th. Still release on a Saturday, but if that might work.
That would probably work. Yeah. Actually, I had one of those jetpacks when I was out on the road, and I never had any problem with it.
Really?
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't think I did some reading on them just to make sure, because I'm gonna try to obviously be working while I'm there too. But, that's one thing. If that goes out while I'm doing something, that just interrupts something for a moment. But with this, the hassles we have when we lose internet connection. So, okay, so we'll just kind of halfway plan on that part.
Okay.
20th. Okay, cool. Other thing, and so
nobody cares about this, but go ahead.
I know, but that's this part of it though. This part might people might care about.
All right.
So the vendor that we work through to do our coffee, they have weekly meetings, and they do a lot of conversations about how people are doing, and like tips and ideas and things like that. And there's
Right.
a lot of people out there that are doing donations, to organizations. So
Mm-hmm.
one coffee company is doing it to like soldiers, suicide prevention for soldiers. God, why couldn't I
Right.
get that out of my mouth?
Oh,
Other people are doing it for animal shelters and things like that.
sure.
So what I thought about was, and we don't have to pick the group now, but I wanted to kind of get your opinion, is
Mm-hmm.
that have an opportunity for us to it could help us, but I think it could also help the group in general if we
Yep.
pick some sober organization to to donate a certain portion of funds to. So something for us to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But in rather than Keating Center, I know is near and dear to our heart, but I figured
Sure.
something that could more on a national level. So
Right.
if we start thinking on that side of things, but it's something I'd have to make a few changes on the website to start focusing on that sort of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
two things, and the point behind that, and I'm a firm believer of the coffee we have is really good.
Right.
It's a little bit more expensive, but the whole point behind that is that I think people will like the coffee if they try it, and if part of the money goes to a good cause, even if it's a little bit more expensive. And
Mm-hmm.
again, we've been completely upfront about all this stuff. We're not making the coffee is not a moneymaker. I mean, it's unless we did it on some monstrous volume, which we're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, the hell with it. Then why don't we just try to give back? It's an opportunity I think that would help on all sides, but something for us to think about. But
Yep.
like
Definitely.
I said, so okay, cool. And
Cool.
those were, I think, my only couple of podcast things. I got the email that we got, and then the listener message. We
Mm-hmm.
can do those after the reading, but I wanted to get
Okay.
the podcast stuff kind of out of the way. So
All right.
cool. All right, so the step we're not doing until the 14th, and the 20th we're recording. Good, good, good. Reading. Huh. I'll tell you about my
Mm.
my my day or last couple of days in a few minutes too, and it sounded like you had a weird couple of days too. But
I've had a very long week. Yeah,
yeah,
I have.
gotcha.
But
All right.
whatever. It's not about me, man. It's about the listeners, dude.
Right, and do me a favor, take your microphone to about 3/4. Let's try that.
How's this sound?
Perfect. Okay, yeah, just when you were laughing, which I like you to
Mm-hmm.
laugh, just was
Yeah,
blowing things out a little bit. So, all right. But yes, it is all about the listener. You're right.
it
So,
is. So, all right. Our reading of the week. As always, it's from. Shut the fuck up. Uh,
no, I'm laughing because we're talking about just fucking nonsensical shit, and
uh-huh.
you were kindly trying to pull us back in the right direction, and I was just laughing
Uh,
because I'm like, you're doing the right thing over there. So,
I
all right,
don't
I'll
know
sh-
what the hell I'm doing, but I'm
I'll
going to read. See,
I'll shut
that's
up
what
now.
I'm going to do. I'm going to share some good thoughts that aren't mine. Right. So this is from God Grant Me, as always. It's certainly my favorite meditation book, and I think Bill's too. And this is April 21st. Flipping around and found this one. Character is simply a habit long continued. Plutarch. Addiction changed us. It ate away at our character, the inner backbone of morals and ethics that made us strong. We still wanted to be good people, even in the depths of our illness. We just could not seem to behave that way. Our disease was stronger than our moral backbone. We were powerless over alcohol and drugs, and they controlled our behavior. Now that we are sober, we are practicing new behaviors, gui- behaviors guided by our morals and ethics, not by our addiction. As we continue to practice these new behaviors, they will become habits. And after a while, we will find that these good habits have made our moral backbone strong again. As we become healthy and strong in our recovery, we build our character. Prayer for the day. Higher power, help me become a person of good character. Help me to act in ways that match my new values, morals, and ethics. I need your help to stay sober and practice recovery behavior that becomes a habit and builds my character. Today's action says actions because this is a program of action. Today, I will think of some people I have met in the program whom I admire because they are solid in their goodness. I will call at least one of them and ask how he or she got that way.
Cool. All their goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of things that I scribbled down because I like to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it said character was habit, long continued, which I like that.
Right.
Because that in and of itself, well, God, how many times have we talked about it? All the things that we do now, the
Mm-hmm.
readings. Well, to answer your first question, yes, God Grant Me is definitely, if not mostly my favorite, it's in the
Mm-hmm.
top two out of the readings
Okay.
that I do.
Right.
But I like it. I always look forward to reading that. So you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but speaking of the readings and the prayers and the things we do before we go to bed and those sort of things, and we've talked about it that I know neither one of us really even think about it anymore. We know, granted, we think that, well, yes, I do my readings. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not a matter of, I don't have to set a reminder
No.
to do my readings. I don't have to set a reminder to do my prayers at night or anything like that. So
Mm-mm.
um, apparently, if you do things long enough, it becomes a habit. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that's helped with our character. I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Actually, I've sort of got an example of that.
good.
Which is kind of why I chose this reading. I actually put a little thought into it, just a little. Um, right. So, we talked a bit last week about, I had a surprise event I was going to on Saturday. Um, I didn't make it to that event. Um, it was Angel's birthday. If you listen back to Angel's episode, it was a surprise party for Angel. Happy birthday, Angel. But anyway, we didn't make it there. All ready to go. Chris was on her way over. She got to my house and she was having some abdominal pain. And a wonderful example of what kind of assholes we used to be and the way that we affect other people. She walked into my house and she's like kind of holding her stomach and she's got tears in her eyes. And she said to me, because remember, I'm not her first alcoholic, I'm just her first sober alcoholic. Um, she looked at me and she said, "You're going to have to go without me. I'm going to go to the hospital." Well, um, you know, I've had a week to think about this, and the kind of person I used to be. First of all, I wouldn't have been going to a sober birthday party. I would have been going to a party, and I would have, because she's been conditioned by us fucked up drunks and junkies. Um, that was her response to her situation to me. Um, and my response would have been, "Yep, I guess I'm going to have to go without you," and I would have, and I went and got loaded, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Um, but habits have built my character. And I would, of course, my answer was no. I'm taking you, and I'm going to be with you, and we will miss the party, and we did. Um, yeah, but again, a change and it wasn't even a thought. But the thoughts of the way I used to be came afterwards, and it's funny because we ended up spending several hours there. She's fine. Everything's cool. Nothing serious, but I'm not going to go into the details, but she's okay. But anyway, so afterwards, we'd been there a long time. We hadn't eaten because we were going to a party and we were going to eat there and blah, 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 blah. So we're starving. So we're sitting at Dimitri's, the diner in my neighborhood, because it was at this point like 11 o'clock at night. And we were really hungry. And we're waiting for our food. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it. And I was like, okay, accountability, right? You know, had I gone there by myself and I showed up and, and everybody would have been like, "Where's Chris?" Oh, she's in the hospital. She was having some troubles. But here I am. Aren't I fucking wonderful? You know, um, Angel, Michelle, Melissa. I didn't even have to worry about the guys there. They would have beat the fuck out of me for showing up, not going with her. Again, wasn't even a thought, but accountability, man. The people that we hang out with wouldn't, it wasn't an issue, but had it been an issue, they wouldn't have allowed me to get away with that bullshit. And
Right.
that was a really nice feeling. It was cool. Once all that processed through my head, and I was like, yeah, these people wouldn't have let me show up there. That's not the way we live today.
Yeah, and you know what? First of all, that ask about Chris, make sure she's okay was number one on my list. So
Ah,
I had that because I figured that I saw the post that she was okay.
mhm,
That's the only reason I didn't reach out to you, because I didn't see the posts and stuff until late, because I'm on
right.
Facebook once in the morning and once at night, so I didn't see it
Mhm,
until late. So
right.
shit, by the time I saw it, it was all said and done. So I'm digging through her Facebook page, your Facebook page, trying to find out
Right,
what the fuck happened.
right.
Um, but it was shit. It was probably, I don't even think I saw that until probably midnight or probably
Yeah.
1 a.m. your time.
Right, right,
Um,
right. Yeah,
but
and
then,
that was it, and it wasn't in public Facebook. It was in the party page.
oh, I know, and that's why when
Yeah.
I saw and I finally saw it there.
Mhm.
But then I thought, I'm like, okay, well, she's cool, and I'm like, we'll
Mhm.
talk about it on Friday,
Right. Yeah,
because I
there we
knew if
go.
it
We
was,
did.
yeah, and I knew if it was anything out of the ordinary, you would have let me
Oh
know.
yeah.
So,
Right.
but literally, it's I had a little podcast stuff. I figured to do the reading, but the first on my list of after that
Mm.
stuff was, yeah, making sure she was okay. So I'm glad you
It
brought that
is.
up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and I can't think of any specific examples right now. But
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure there were, just, I don't know, since we've been sober, there has to be a ton of, even if they're little things, like that, where people would
Right.
have been, why aren't you there? Why didn't you do that? Why are you here rather than there?
Right.
Um,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think pretty much from the get go, we stopped acting like those selfish assholes that we were.
right,
I mean, at least outwardly.
right, yeah, and I mean, shit. I mean, even back to the first, I don't know, a few months. I mean, we were in the Keating Center and stuff like that. I mean, I
Mhm.
was I was trying to be on my best behavior, because I
Right.
at that point I still couldn't figure out why Dawn hadn't literally buried me when it came to Derek.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of just, again, I was just like flowing down the river,
Mhm.
doing kind of whatever, and not literally not trying to make waves or anything like that. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think you're right. We weren't, and I do. I mean, there was a lot of people, I guess, thinking back, that that still were acting a fool.
Mhm.
Shortly after they got sober, and we witnessed a lot of
Mhm.
that. Again, I can't think of
Mhm.
any exact examples, but I know there
Right.
was plenty of them. But yeah, I guess that never even occurred to me that you wouldn't have
Right.
gone to the hospital with her.
I
It was
know.
it was like,
But again, the way, decades of being with us assholes, that was her fucking first response, man. And I hate that. And, again, talk about working step 9 and never being done with it. I'm cleaning up other people's shit. That's okay. I'm glad you
right,
do it, you know. But yeah, I was just like, fuck, no, no, I'm taking you. You're more important than our friend's party,
right.
you know. Yeah. But again, that was it. Yeah. Her response was, "You need to go without me." And I'm like, "No, I fucking don't."
Yeah, I would have just kind of looked at her like, "What the fuck are you talking about, man?" Had
Yeah.
I been there, I may have went with you guys too. I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure you would have.
Yeah, I mean, it just would. I would have felt fucking weird being like, "Where's Mike and Chris?" I don't know. They went to the fucking hospital. Well, what's going on? I
Mhm.
don't know. I just figured I'd come here.
Right.
I would have felt fucking stupid.
Yeah, right. I know. Kinda cool, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Cool, silly, stupid in a very, 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 very good way.
Mhm.
So that actually dies into values, morals, and ethics. I wrote down.
Mhm.
Literally those three words right after the habit long continue. And then
Right.
just I wrote down the word practice.
Yeah.
And that's what. So when I worked in the second company I worked for in Cleveland, the one down in Fairlawn, the
Right.
vice president of the company, he was kind of a goofy guy.
Mhm.
Very. He was an accountant. He had an accounting mind and that sort of thing. So you know what I mean. A lot of times, if
Sure.
you've ever met somebody like that, they're kind of introverted. You can't crack a joke with them and whatever. But
Mhm.
he was super smart and he knew what he was doing, and I respected him.
Mhm.
He was a fucking dork, but I respected him. So he used to hold the monthly meetings and stuff like that. And whatever he was talking about, he said, people always say practice makes perfect, right? And
Mhm.
we've always heard that for years, and you could say it to, I think, anyone, any generation, everyone's heard it.
Right.
But what he said practice makes permanent,
Mm.
and that was huge to me because I'm like, I like that better.
Right.
Because two things, I mean, clearly I was at that point, I was still young, in sobriety and stuff like that, and the progress
Mhm.
versus protection, perfection, and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
the whole point about practice making permanent, I mean, whether it's good things or bad things, if you do it,
Mm.
if you practice these things,
Mhm.
you can practice bad behavior as much as good
Oh,
behavior.
absolutely. Got quite
And
good at it.
yeah, but it does when he said that. So I remember that, and I've used that. Or did use that in my training and stuff like that for years.
Mhm.
From that point up until even recently, telling people that keep doing these things on a daily basis. The way they were structuring their phone calls and whatever it was.
Sure.
Because I'm saying that it usually takes a couple of weeks to get a habit in place.
Mhm.
And if you keep doing it, it becomes a permanent part of your being. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's the reason I wrote that down. So that was a great reading. I liked it.
Yeah,
I
it
liked it a
was.
lot. So you said, when was that? April?
21st.
Yeah, not the day, but one day before the day for you.
Right.
Listen to you, right?
Yeah, right. Whatever. I don't know. I didn't even pay attention to that, but yeah.
Yeah. See, and what did you said that the one time? You said that I pay attention when it comes to those readings when you do it. I pay attention to the date. You pay attention to the content, which is kind of funny.
Right.
Which again, I mean, I do pay attention to the content, but when
Mhm.
you're doing the readings like that, I always think back. I'm like, am I going to remember this one? And I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
Again, not a word of it as you were reading it, but I know I read it at the time, so that's what matters, right?
exactly.
All right. So, what do you want first? Do you want the email that we received, or that's not the email is not from a listener,
Okay.
but the message that we got is from a listener?
Let's go with the email.
Okay.
Let's save the listener for later.
Okay. So, months and months and months ago, probably shit,
Uh,
might almost be a year ago. I'm sure if anyone's been listening to us long enough, they might remember this, but I know you will. The guy that said the YouTube video that I saw about the 90% of podcasts fail in their first year
mhm.
because
Right.
we set out on our journey of spite with this
Mhm. Of course.
based on that.
It's a
So
habit.
I know it is. It is a fucking habit. So here's the funny thing is, and this would have been, what fucking day was this? Sunday. So
Mhm.
Sunday, I get this email, and it starts off, "Hey, I found Sober Not Mature on Apple Podcasts. As a fellow podcaster, I wanted to reach out and connect. How's the show going? Is there anything I can do to be helpful or supportive?" And I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" It's
Right.
like he's my goddamn friend or something like that.
Yeah, right. You
And then
know.
it says one thing you may get value from is pod match. And
Mm.
I'm like, I remember this, I think. Then it says
Mm.
that it helps you find guests to interview while monetizing your podcast at the same time. If you're not looking
Yeah.
for guests, you can also be guests on other podcasts. I recorded this short video about it, then I popped into the YouTube video, and I'm
Mhm.
watching it, and it's just coming back. It's not that it might be the same video, that he had to begin with.
Probably.
But as I'm watching, I'm like, I know this motherfucker. I'm like, this is the dick that told us that we were gonna fail. So
Yeah.
so I email him back. I'm like, and literally, I said, I remember you! Exclamation point. And I said, you're the one that had a YouTube video that said 90% of podcasts fail in the first year. We talked
Mhm.
about it in an early episode of ours and basically said that it was bullshit, and we made it a
Mhm.
goal to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And then I put a little ha ha in there to lighten that one up a little bit. But I was basically,
Sure.
you know, I said uh, I said we've been running since February of 2022, and we're doing pretty well. Not a
Mhm.
huge podcast, but we have a super loyal following, and our listeners are engaged. All
Right.
that being said, I did look into your offer at the time, and we're not interested. We've had really good success finding guests on our own, and people come to us on a regular basis. So thank you, but no thank you. And I cited Bill, sober, not mature.
Uh-huh.
So, God, what day was that? The next day, he
Mhm.
says, he starts off with, "Ha ha, what's up, Bill? I love this email. Can you send me the early episode? I'd love to check it out." And then he says, "I
Mm.
did pull the data again right now." And here's this. Just listen to this part. Right now, you people have an
Mm.
8.84% chance of making it to 50 episodes, 50 weeks, basically. I love,
Mhm.
all capital letters, that you've been able to be in that top percentage. That says so much about you. Keep up the great work. I appreciate the response. But first of all, if you remember in the first email, he says he's a
Mhm.
fellow podcaster, right?
Right.
Then he says, "You people."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Fucking you people." But their tagline, it says, "Like a dating app for podcasters."
Mhm. Yeah, I remember that.
I didn't. But so first of all, I'm like, okay, so now fuck you, everyone out there. 8.8% don't even make it to 50.
Mhm.
We're at 71. I didn't tell
We
them
are.
how many episodes
Right.
that we were at. But and I also didn't to begin with. I'm like, ooh, what episode was? I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm not
No,
wasting
no,
any
no,
more
no.
any more time or air on this gentleman. So
Here's a thought, Pally. Start at episode 1 and start fucking listening. You'll find it.
right, and that was my next immediate thought. I'm like, if this motherfucker wants to find it, he can do it on his own, and
Mhm.
it'll add to our numbers. So fuck him.
Right.
But I thought you'd get a kick out of that because literally, and I think I probably said it out loud when I was watching the video. I'm like, I remember this motherfucker. But yeah, so
Yeah,
it was fun. It was fun,
that is. Yeah, thanks, pal. We don't need you.
right? Yeah, and I'm not gonna. This got his full name and stuff on here. I'm not gonna read
Oh
his name, but
yeah,
it's Pod Match. I mean, it just in
whatever.
if I remember correctly, if you have I think if you have a guest appear or something like that, you get like, I don't know, it's like $20 or something like that, or after a certain
Mhm.
number of, it was clearly not even worth the time, and then not knowing who we were going to
Right.
get, and that was long before we had guests. I do remember that
Mhm.
part.
Right.
Maybe not long before, but shit, it might even been, well, God, because a year ago we were coming up where we were getting Riverside. We got Riverside in July, I think, or August.
Mhm. Right.
So whatever. I mean, it's been a while. I know that much. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Riverside for all your podcast needs.
Right. And also Spotify for podcasters.
Right.
Because yeah,
Yeah, that's the new one. Right.
yep. Well, yeah, and we still advertise for them at the front of every episode. So,
Yep.
and again, we use, just so everyone out there knows, Riverside is our recording studio. That's what we do all the recording on. But
Mhm.
Spotify, and again, it used to be called Anchor, but now it's Spotify for podcasters. That's who
Right.
we use to distribute and all that stuff. And we just outgrew the recording part of it. There was nothing wrong with it. We could have
Right.
gotten different equipment and stuff to work along with that, but this worked out better. We're
Mhm.
really happy with it. But yeah, I mean, both of them. Yeah, Riverside has been wonderful, obviously, but
Mhm.
Spotify is still, they're the ones that are distributing the podcast everywhere. So kudos to both of them, right?
Right. Right. And you know what? We're getting close to half an hour. So since we're doing commercials, let's do one more. Stay tuned for our message from a listener right after this word from another sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober, Not Mature.
Hi
And
there.
yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So we wanted two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com.
Ah.
But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And once again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back. And I'll tell you, you caught me a little bit off guard there. I'm sitting there.
Good.
Again, I'm twisted to the back of my chair. I got my legs crossed. I got my sheets in my hand, and you're like, I'm like, whoa, what time is it? But yeah, we still have to re-record a new spot for us at some point, but it's not a big deal. It's still, I laugh my ass off every time I listen to that. It's still a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So you want to do the listener one now, or you said later, or you want to do it now?
Oh yeah, after the commercial. It's later now.
Hang on 1 second, man. I've been talking for a minute. I need a cup of. This is a cup of our. No, it isn't our coffee. Damn it! I'm gonna take a drink of coffee.
He's gonna take a drink. How? He just shit his pants. Wait, wrong podcast.
Right, I know where that's from. But
I know you do.
But yeah, so yeah, I have but our coffee I drink when I make a pot of coffee. K-cups I still use, but anyhow. All right, so just a couple of days ago, we got a message from an individual that listens to us, and also one of our followers. And I told him we were going to talk about it on the podcast tonight. So he is listening. His name is Al. So what's up, Al?
Hi, Al.
All right. So his message is, "Hi, lads. Fucking love the show." See, like that. Nice. I've listened to them all, which again is very nice. I wonder if you thought of doing a bonus episode, like a weekly shorter episode with just listener questions. I'm sure it would be, and he put this in quotes, popular with the ladies.
Wow, he does listen.
I know. And then he says, "Thank you and fuck off." So
nice.
I know. So I thanked him and told him, obviously it makes us laugh every time somebody, signs off on something like that with "fuck off." And we had two other people do that to me this week in messages. So I crack up every single time. But then he messaged back and he said it's a great way to end a podcast and a message. Appreciate you considering the idea. I'll be listening to the new episode when it's out. Fuck off and kind regards.
Very cool.
Yeah. So what I told him was, and I know what he's talking about. It's just that not that we receive a lot of, and we don't, receive a lot of questions from people.
Right.
Every once in a while we do. I think to begin with, when we were, I don't want to say begging for them, but I think when earlier episodes,
we were pushing a little more. Yeah.
Earlier episodes we did, because I know we had just we didn't know what we were going to talk about, and
we were looking for content.
Yeah, I think part of it was we were afraid that we were going to run out of things to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, literally, and we were trying to fill an hour, and now we're filling almost an hour and a half.
Right.
But I guess what I told him was, I said, well, I told him what my deal is now. I said I've got a little bit more freedom certainly than what Mike does, but I told him I'd bring it up. It's something we could throw out there. I don't know. I don't know how it would work, what the structure would be if we decided to do something like that, if we want to take, put in the extra time, anything like that. something you and I can talk about, but I at least wanted to bring it up so it's out there because I told him, I said we talk about this shit on the podcast.
Right.
This is when we figure it out. We don't have these conversations out of this time. You're busy, I'm busy, so we just talk about them here.
hmm
But
Right. Exactly. I mean, my thought is, it's very cool, and I mean, if we started getting enough to support that, that would be great. But
right.
that's up to you people, not us.
Well, and what I was going to do is, obviously talk about it first, and then I can throw a post out there, and ask
All
people,
right.
tell them what the idea is, what the thought is, and tell them exactly that. If the content supports something like that, or the
hmm
questions support enough content, even if we did 15-20 minutes or something like that, or a half
Sure.
hour.
All
We've
right.
got the time through Riverside. It's just a matter of I was thinking more on we'd have to figure out more on your schedule because I know your days
hmm
are long and tiring. So
Yes, they are.
and see, there's
Yeah,
me
really.
thinking about another human being, right?
And I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe, if we start getting them on a fairly regular basis, maybe incorporate them into this, and then if we start really getting them, yeah, then we can branch out and do something like that. But again, you got to flood us with this shit, man, because
Right.
if I'm taking the time, an extra half hour out of my life, you people got to fucking make it worth my while.
You know what? I agree with you. I agree. But yeah, and that's a good point because and once again, I mean, I think that, well, I know, I'm going to say I don't know. I think that most people realize that, this is the podcast is a sideline thing for us. We do put in
hmm
quite a bit of time, and effort
Right.
into even just as you joke around all the time. You just show up and talk into a microphone, but
Right.
I mean, it's true, but it's not because you and I spend
Mhm.
we even though I'm doing like the background stuff and putting the shit together, which does take time.
Mhm.
It's
Sure.
only one person can really do that. There's no way in the fucking world
Right.
that I could say, Mike, could you do this part? Could I do this part? It'd be
Mhm.
fucking
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, but one way or the other, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes thought,
Mhm.
to put this thing together. So, and I think people realize that. So we want to make sure we don't want to just yip and yap for another half hour just to occupy space.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
If we're gonna do something, we're gonna make it worthwhile to you and us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right.
We're going to do it right. God damn it.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah, that goddamn moral backbone shit.
right. And then, yeah, like you say, flood us with this stuff because we can't, we're not going to get emails every week from, fuck knuckles telling us that we're going to fail,
Mhm.
so.
Right. Yeah, telling us we're gonna fail and then, trying to set us up on a date
Yeah, it just,
with some rando other podcaster. No, thank you.
yeah, it just kind of cracked me up. Oh, what was kind of funny though, the whole podcast thing. So one of the things that because I was last week I was kind of building up the website. This week I was kind of doing some
Mhm.
background stuff with that, building more things. But um, I do need to get like business insurance. The bank had recommended that we open a second bank account,
Mhm.
just under that name, just to keep things separate. So we're doing that stuff. I'm trying to get something set up
Right.
with like a Facebook shop like we do with our merchandise so I could actually tag stuff. It's been these background things more of a process. But the
Mhm.
insurance agents, because I got a short term medical policy since obviously I'm not at that job anymore through Kathy's insurance
Right.
agent. And then I
Mhm.
also said, check into a professional liability plan for me too. So a little bit of back and forth, but he was asking me, well, two things. He goes, how much income do you think you're going to generate from this? And this would be like the sober
Mm.
coaching. I'm like, do you want me
Right.
to tell you what I wish for?
Mm.
Or
Yeah, right.
so that was the first part. Then he sent a second email back, and Kathy was attached to a couple of emails at one point. So we ended up just sending it
Mhm.
to her. And he's like, so Bill, what's your total yearly income for the podcast? And Kathy forwarded the email, and I emailed him back. I'm like, yeah. I said, Kathy just sent me this. I said, this one's an easy one. I said, we're not making
Mhm.
any money on the podcast. We're
Right.
just not. I
And
said,
you spell bagel.
Well, first thing, okay, sideline here. One of our listeners who's actually bought coffee from us, a tank top,
Hmm.
a couple of candles, actually, I think 3 or 4 candles now. She just donated
Nice.
$25 to us yesterday through the
Hmm.
buy me a coffee
Nice
thing.
coffee,
So
right?
yeah, so we do get, and I explained that. I said we get that every once in a while, but
Hmm.
well, I'm like with the money spent and things like that. I'm like we're not making an income on it. So I said zero,
Right. Right.
zero. We don't have any podcast sponsors or anything like that. We're trying to get them, but
Hmm.
it made me laugh. I'm like, yeah, what's my yearly income on the podcast? uh, yeah, whew, I could apply for what do you call it, welfare if I use that as my yearly
Right.
income, well below the poverty line. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Destitute.
so I will. I'm just going to put a note here. I want to do a post about that for the questions, and then see what
Bill is
happens.
making himself a note.
And this is a real note. This is like handwriting type of note.
Ooh.
That's why I have to be quiet because I can't. I know I fuck around every once in a while when I do that, but actually, when I make a note, I do have to stop talking because I'll start writing out what I'm talking. Yep, yes, folks, I am 13 plus years sober, and I cannot do two things at once.
Right. You can,
Ah,
however, walk and chew gum.
right. I can do that. I can absolutely do
Yeah.
that.
Well,
But yeah, I
see,
can't.
there you go.
Right. I can walk around and be an asshole. So I guess there's the other thing.
Right.
um. So we're all good on all of that stuff, right? We got the reading done,
Hmm.
listener, the fuck knuckle email.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. I think we're good. So anything else that like came up this week for you? I mean, I know the Chris thing. I know you didn't make it to the party. Once again, happy birthday, Angel.
Right.
That was her 50th birthday, by
Mhm.
the way. So for
Correct.
again, anyone who listened to her, she yeah, our really, really good friend Angel. Yeah, she just turned 50. So, and she was super
Hmm.
surprised I saw the video of it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. And we were definitely bummed out we couldn't make it, but like I told Chris, she's more important.
Yeah, first of all, that is the right thing to say, but it is true.
Mhm.
It is absolutely
Yeah.
true.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So the thing that and I don't know if I heard this on another podcast recently, which kind of maybe it amazed me that I did, but it's been a while since we've talked about the absolutes, and
Hmm.
not that we have to go into like as deep of a discussion as we did before, but I'm thinking, just at least my thought was for anyone that hasn't listened, because shit, that was a year ago that we did
Right.
the episode on the absolutes. So
Hmm.
do you mind? Because I mean, you do a hell of a lot better job than I do with explaining them. Just let's do like a quick rundown of what the absolutes were, why they're important to us. Because I'm just
Hmm.
trying to think of again things that we've talked about that I think would be helpful for people, maybe even coming into this time of year when people tend to be making bad decisions or could be on the verge
Mm.
of nice weather bad decisions. They kind of go hand in hand.
Mm.
So
Yeah. In my life, I found that the weather had absolutely nothing to do with my bad decisions,
oh, I
but
I
all
agree
right.
with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But you and I are a little different. I mean, I think we've talked about that a couple
Right.
of different times. We're not
Hmm.
necessarily cut from the same cloth as every person that even has severe alcohol issues. So
Right. Yeah. Right. 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 Wonderful thing is the solution's the same. Doesn't matter.
right.
Anyway, so the absolutes. Um, anyone familiar with Cleveland AA knows what the absolutes are. The four absolutes are purity, unselfishness, something
Honesty.
in love. Thank
Honesty.
you. Jesus Christ, man.
One of the most important ones.
I know. Yeah, right. Well, see, because everybody always forgets the unselfish one, right? So
Right.
I always got to make sure I get that one in there, which I do now, but then I'm always going to forget something. I'm not perfect, folks. Anyway, yes, purity, unselfishness, honesty, and love are the four absolutes, not necessarily in that order. Um, what the four absolutes are a holdover from the Oxford group, which was kind of a predecessor to Alcoholics Anonymous. It was a Christian group um, around the turn of the last century. And Dr. Bob, one of the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, was a member of the Oxford group. I think Bill Wilson was too at some point. But he didn't like it because they were all churchy. You know, uh, one of my favorite lines in the Big Book is in Bill's story. To Christ I conceded the certainty of a great man, not too closely followed by those who claimed him. So it kind of gives you where Bill was coming from on that whole situation. But yes, the absolutes. And they are a part of Cleveland AA. Pretty much everybody around here knows what they are. Many people use them when they're sponsoring guys or women. And the 12 and 12, the 12 step and 12 tradition discussion group that I used to go to was called the 12, 12 and 4. And we did the four absolutes in that as well. It is a pamphlet. If you're interested, contact the central office in Cleveland and you can get that pamphlet. They print them here. And it's pretty damn good. It goes into each absolute and kind of breaks down how they relate to sobriety and just being a better person, which I think is kind of self-evident, honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love.
Right.
Right. But yeah, and actually I'm probably in the next couple of weeks going to go hit that meeting again because one of the guys that formed that group, good friend of mine who I had seen in a long time, Mag. I was walking into Giant Eagle grocery store here in Cleveland, and he was walking out. We hadn't seen each other in a couple of years. I thought, Mag, Mike, hey, where? He's all, come see us. I said, all right, I will. So yeah, in the next, if I ever get some time, I'm going to stop into that meeting and hang out for a while.
Doesn't
But anyway,
and just real quick, doesn't he still go to Puritas? I think that's the
no,
last time that I saw him.
he hasn't been there in 7 years.
Really, it's been a long time
Yeah.
since I've been to Puritas too. But
Right. Yeah. No, he was fairly regular there. As with most groups, it's the regulars kind of change over. We're in
right,
a new era. I mean, it's my home group, Periodist, for you guys that don't know, and it's it's been going on for 57 years. I think 58 years is going to be our anniversary this year in September. Anyway, yeah, it's been going on for a long time. So, yeah, but anyway, so that was very cool to see him and seen him in a while. Yeah, the absolutes. I don't know, dude. What?
no, and that's fine. It was just a matter of kind of bringing up what they were, because quite honestly, is that, and I've said this probably 100 times on here, not 100, but you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. We've talked about it enough where any other place that I've gone to meetings, and even just
Mm.
Wisconsin, Illinois, Florida when I
Right?
was there and stuff like that, I never heard about the absolutes in any other meeting anywhere.
No,
And I
no.
talked about them
Oh
in
yeah,
Wisconsin.
you'll ask people, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
ask people about them, and they'll look at you like, "What?" Yeah,
right,
they've never heard of it.
right.
Exactly. And for me, you know, I, we've got the 12 steps and we've got the 12 traditions and the 12 promises, and but the four absolutes are sometimes kind of a nice way to start, to focus on things, to change those behaviors. I think they're really important tool. Well, like we were taught, you're trying to make a decision, you're trying to do something, you're trying to, you know, early sobriety, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you step back for a second and you go, okay, is what I'm doing honest? Is what I'm doing loving? Is what I'm doing pure? Is what I'm doing unselfish? If it passed that test, then you're pretty damn safe to move along and do what you were going to do. If it fails any of those, maybe you got to think about what the hell you're doing. So it's it is it's a nice kind of simple. It's God knows we need simple tool to start changing those behaviors that we talked about in the reading.
Right.
Again, if it passed that test, then you're all right. Go ahead, make that next move.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because that was the other thing that had you not brought it up, I was gonna mention that because I do
Hmm,
remember, and we were super 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 young in this whole
right.
thing, super new when we first started hearing about that. Because I remember, and that's when I explained it to Kathy, and the way that I remember them, I put him into an acronym, which is HUPL, that
Mm,
HUPL. So that's how I
mhm.
remember him. I would never remember. And when you couldn't remember as you were reading them off, in my head, I'm like, he
Right.
missed, and I'm like, he missed honesty.
Mhm.
So I,
Right.
I ended up putting honesty first, which I don't know if it's
Mhm.
first in the list, but it just,
I think it might be.
I mean, it's kind of an important one.
Right. Well,
They
and
all are.
again, right, they all, but and again, I know, I've heard a lot of people, and it may have even happened to me. Again, when you're trying to start running your life through these principles, the absolutes, um, it's suggested a lot of times. The guys will say, "Hey, man, just start working on honesty. Just focus on that one, and just try to be honest,"
Mhm.
which is tough for us because I know I spent, well, pretty much my entire life until I started trying to change myself, being dishonest. Long before I picked up a drink or a drug,
Right.
I was a dishonest person. So yeah, focus on the honesty, then focus on the loving or the purity or the unselfishness. But start with the honesty. So yeah, it is kind of good to put that one first.
Well, and I remember, even not having to be, they weren't anything big, like big lies, quote unquote, but like
Sure.
stretching the truth when we first got
Mm-hmm.
sober. It's like, that the whole thing with, Larry and the is that a water bottle and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that's a whole nother story we can retell at some point. But, I mean, not having a reason to lie about it, but just, I don't know, talking around something rather than just giving a straight answer. And it takes a lot of getting used to, when I
Right.
know when we first got sober, and I think for a lot of people. So
Mm,
the honesty part, but the thing of it is, and you're the one that, and again, I know that we always talk about the fact that all these things are stolen, but you're the one
mhm,
that I remember telling me or saying to me or having this conversation about it was, honesty without love is
mm,
cruelty. And
mhm.
again, whoever you heard that from, I know you heard it from somebody, but
Yeah.
so the whole point is that, I mean, yes, first of all, they're called the absolutes, which,
Mhm.
but it's not concrete. You don't
Sure.
you need to be honest, but you can't sit there and hurt somebody's feelings, but you're not
Exactly.
supposed to be lying. You that's the whole loving part of it. Are you doing this in a loving way, or are you doing it for,
Mhm.
selfish reasons? That's the whole point with the unselfishness and pure. I
Right.
mean, pure. I think is honesty and purity. I think should be pretty fucking easy to figure out, but um, you you would think, but yeah, I mean that. I think they're huge, and we were always told, and I still think about them to this day. Um, probably unknowingly, probably think about them more than I don't sit down and say I need to run something through the absolutes now and see how it works. But you know what I mean. Boy, I wonder if I just lost you again. Ah, let's see. This would be 2 weeks in a row. Let's just take a peek here.
Son of a bitch.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Right. We're
So
gonna
what?
get this episode done one way or another, motherfucker.
Yeah, these last 2 weeks, the fucking technology has been crushing us. So
Mhm.
is that your Wi-Fi that keeps going out?
It's the Chromebook Wi-Fi because as soon as it goes out, I grab my phone and I'm connected there.
Right.
So the Chromebook is losing the Wi-Fi.
And you're upstairs, right?
Yep.
Okay. So when you get a minute, measure from your workspace area there into the other bedroom where that modem is,
Yeah.
and we'll get you an Ethernet cable. you
All
know, and
right.
then we'll probably have to get I'll have to buy. Ah, shit. Then you're gonna have the same setup as me with the splitter and stuff like that. Because do you have one or two USB ports on there? Do you know?
Two.
Oh, you do.
Yep. I got one on each side.
Okay, then you're good. Then we can get a splitter just for the. I think I have an Ethernet splitter that I can give you. Did I give you one the one time or no?
Nope.
Okay, so I thought I had. Either way, so once again, hang on. Note to self:
Yeah.
Ethernet splitter. Because then what'll happen? For whatever reason,
Are we
the Wi.
recording?
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Nobody cares
But
about this shit.
yeah, I know. But okay, splitter. I know. It just I start to ramble about stuff, and I'm just trying to figure
Uh-huh.
it out because they heard obviously me lose you, but okay. Anyhow, so
All right.
we were wrapping up with the absolutes, and I think we have it all taken care of. But the last thing I was going to say on that
Mm-hmm.
is next time you get down to central office, you said they're
Mm-hmm.
like $1 a piece or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, buy 10 or 20 of them, and I'll end up I'll put them on our store, and I can figure out a way to give them away for free or something like that. But
All right.
just buy like 20 of them, grab a receipt, and we'll obviously I'll get the money back on that, and then we can give them away to people if anyone wants them. I think it'd be cool, you know, to give
Yeah.
out, and even if it's in a limited amount like that, if nobody buys them, it's only $20. So
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got to get down there at some point anyway because Curtis needs some more big books. So, yep.
right. Okay, so yeah, I apologize, everyone. I get in my head when it comes to this
Yep.
technology stuff. I didn't mean to sit here and talk about that on there, but thank you for. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes again we have such a loose and open kind of conversation
Right.
here. I forget that we're actually recording. And seriously, when you said we're recording, I looked. I'm like, yeah, we're recording. Why?
Yeah. I know. Because we're talking about sticking Ethernet cables up our asses.
I know, I know. All right, so I have no idea. I think we might have been 45 minutes or an hour last time I
Yeah,
looked,
whatever.
whatever
Anyway,
it
so
is.
the
But
absolutes. One
yeah,
last thought on those.
okay.
Yeah. Absolutes scares people off. Um, in the discussion group that I said I used to go to, we came upon ideals. Because absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Nobody's gonna fucking be absolute on anything.
Right.
Except vodka. Um,
Yeah, that was the picture
right.
for our
It
absolutes
was
episode.
absolutes episode. Yes, ideals. These are ideals that we strive for, that we try to be, and we're gonna fall short because we're fucking human beings. But absolutely, ideals. All right, that's it. Honesty, unselfishness, purity, and love.
Yeah, there you go. But I agree 100%. And I don't remember it necessarily scaring me the word itself, but I get it.
Right?
Just I mean words matter. So if you got to change around the
Mm-hmm.
word or something like that, not
Yep.
to freak people out. Hey, how's this? I absolutely get it.
All right.
All right. So these were a couple of things that I've had probably written down for a while. First thing, did you ever have any trouble? And there's a point for me asking this question, but did you ever have any trouble sleeping after you got sober?
Um. After not really. I mean, detox was a bitch, but we were doped up pretty good for that. And
Right.
and then I mean, being at the eating center, I don't know, I was pretty fucking exhausted by the end of the day. So, no, not really. I have trouble sleeping now more than I did then, I think.
Well, and it's funny because I remember just a couple of times, and I don't know why, but I remember having to work the one day and I couldn't get to sleep, and I
Hmm.
was kind of freaking out and all that stuff. But the second part of the question and what brought it up is when I was up in Appleton a couple weeks ago. Kimmy
Hmm.
takes my daughter, so everyone knows Kimmy takes melatonin, and I know a lot of people that take
Hmm.
melatonin,
Hmm.
and it's just it helps her. But my understanding is it's I think it's a more of a natural type of thing.
It
I think
is. Yeah,
there's sober people that take it, but
for sure.
because that was kind of like my follow up to that. That if you did have trouble sleeping, have you ever taken that? Would you ever take that? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, just because I'd rather not take anything that
Hmm.
controls my body like that. But did you
Yeah.
ever take it, or would you?
I mean, I would. I never have. I mean, I think I did before I got sober. Um, I mean, my mind was so fucking twisted up that I had myself thoroughly convinced that I needed to drink to go to sleep. Um,
Right.
and I thoroughly believed that. Um, yeah, I sleep okay. I'm old, so sleep gets it gets tougher the older you get. Um, your body aches and shit. Yeah, I mean, heroin puts you to sleep pretty good too. So,
Yeah,
um,
and it was weird though, because like when I know there's a lot of people, and maybe it's I've heard more people that are like come down off of detox, off get sober from different drugs and things like that,
mhm,
that maybe have more trouble sleeping. I never did, which kind of shocks me, because well, I mean, I know that alcohol, eh, being loaded all the time, it's you never sleep well anyhow. There's always this
mhm,
disruption and everything
right,
else, and you get terrible sleep. But so I never really had it. I guess to your point, kind of being exhausted at the end of the day, especially shit when, well, I mean, being new, we weren't house fathers right away, although you
mhm,
were pretty
right.
close to right away,
Fir-
but
Yeah,
still.
well, first 30 days, yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, even prior to that, our days were filled. I mean, we were up
right.
early, we were in groups, and we went to meetings and all this different shit, and
Cleaning,
fucking
cleaning,
cleaning and
cleaning,
cleaning. Yeah, and it's like you don't really have any free time. I mean, you do and
right,
you don't, but it just I just didn't have it. I never had a problem with that, and thankfully for literally for the entire time I've been sober, I mean, I don't have trouble sleeping. I clear my head. It's that 10 step thing.
right.
So I clear my head. Usually, if I have a restless night's sleep, it's because of something good.
Mhm,
I've got good shit on my mind, or my
right.
mind starts running over cool things that I want to
Yeah,
do, or
right. You're
an
excited
event.
to do something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny though, is in the last couple of weeks, since I left my job, I know I'm sleeping more restlessly because I remember rolling over and this and that, but I
Mhm,
don't, I'm not tired, and I'm not. I've kicked off the time that I wake up is about. I only kicked it off by a half hour. That's it.
mhm,
So I get up a half hour later than I did when I was working for the other, the actual company,
right.
and I'm going to bed around the same time,
Mhm,
sometimes off by that half hour, so I'm getting the same amount of hours from when I lay my head down to whatever,
right.
but I'm not. I'm more rested. How has that happen? I know I'm being more restless, but I'm not overtired in the morning. It's fucking weird. I
Yeah,
don't get
well,
it.
again, stress has been lifted, so, yeah, that
Right.
helps.
I know it's just fucking it's still. I sort of, I mean, I know the answer, I guess, but it just fucking blows my mind. I don't get it.
Mhm.
I do get it. It's mind blowing still, to me. But yeah, that was one that I had. I think I had written down at one point, but then the melatonin one is it just reminded me of when I was up by Kimmy. And I don't look down on anyone who uses melatonin. I mean, I know it's
Right.
a natural thing and it helps.
Mhm.
I don't want to do anything that will take my body down like that. I just don't.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just.
and I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna go hit an old lady over the head to score some melatonin, so, yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
You never know. You
Yeah, you
never
never know.
you never know. Why did Mike hit the old lady for her melatonin? um, what about big indulgences when you first got sober? Whether it was a
Mhm.
good thing or bad thing. Um, and then yeah, I mean, just any like indulgences over time. Again, whether it was a good thing or bad, right after you got sober, that you just kind of went full force into after you got sober.
Mm. No, I don't think so. Like like what? Like
I don't know. I don't know.
hookers and blow? I mean,
Well, I know there's a lot of people that start working too much or work out too much
oh,
or
right,
do
right, right,
whatever.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just to bury themselves into something else.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Substitute one addiction for another.
right,
No, right, no, definitely not, because I was aware of that uh, pitfall, for lack of a better word. And no, I was mindful of it. I made sure I didn't. It's all about finding the balance.
right,
Like I've said before, man, I don't want to be obsessed with anything today. The obsession has been lifted, and I don't want to be obsessed with something else. There's things that I focus on and whatever, but yeah, I'm not obsessed with anything today, and I'm really happy about it.
right.
So no, no, I mean, I buy too much crap and whatever, but no, Halloween season hasn't come yet, so I don't need to worry about that. And, I don't gamble, and I sure as hell don't work out, and so yeah, and Christ, after a 12, 13-hour day, I'm pretty much done with working. I don't want to do that anymore. So, uh,
And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure, at least in another one way or the other, we've talked about this before. Because then
mhm,
as you're sitting there talking, it was like kind of the same answers you gave the last time, which again,
right,
consistency,
hmm,
But and I think I mentioned that the only thing that popped into my head was just, I mean, we went to a lot of meetings, and
right, oh yeah,
kind of got freaked out if we missed a meeting or had to miss a meeting or whatever the deal
hmm,
was. But then because I think we talked about when Phyllis and telling that individual not to read the big book, to go read
right,
something or do something for
hmm,
enjoyment.
hmm,
But I mean, I know I still have those tendencies, and same deal when I was putting together the web store. That the merchandise web store. I mean,
right,
I would look up, and I mean, I was spending a couple hours a night, and I literally got to the point where I would just I I set myself a cutoff point,
hmm,
and I'm like, okay, after an hour, I got to be done, because
right,
I could easily just sit there forever. And finally, I'm like, fuck this, put it away,
hmm,
whatever it is.
right.
But I mean, again, I'm not harming myself, but still, I need to have that time just to sit on my ass and do fucking nothing.
Right. Yeah. We've got to remember we have addictive personalities, and we can channel that anywhere. We have to make sure that we're balancing things out and doing
Right.
different things, and taking time for ourselves and taking time for the people we care about. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. And we talked about. Oh yeah, we did talk about shame. Yeah, we talked about shame.
Hmm.
Let me talk about that. Was there anything, and I know that did we talk about regrets too? Because I had that as like a side note with shame, but and I know the whole concept is obviously not regretting the past, but
Hmm.
was there any like huge regrets that you had right away, or did we talk about that? Like when you first got sober, before we went through the steps and got to clean all that shit up, was there anything
Hmm.
like it was like super weighing on your mind from a regret standpoint, or
No, no, not really. No, yeah, again, I my to this day, my focus has to be in the here and now. And it wasn't all that easy. Yeah, of course, there's if I sit there and focus on it, I can regret all kinds of shit. Um, I mean, the one I have in my life that I completely wasted. I would have loved to gotten into the military, because I mean, shit, I'd be retired now and set.
right,
Um, but, I didn't, so the hell am I gonna do?
right,
Yeah, and I know I would have thrived in that environment and done well and blah, 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 and, but I also know that, drinking is very encouraged in that, sort of environment, and, I'd have probably blown it out like I blew everything else out, so, doesn't matter.
right.
I know right here and right now, I'm doing okay, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, see, and I don't. I'm not even going to say I don't think. I know for a fact that because I think I would have remembered that.
Mhm,
That I had no idea that you had ever had that desire to be in the military. I was the complete opposite. There's no way I would
mhm,
have been able to handle that type of somebody telling me what to fucking do all the time.
Right.
Where, again, once I get sober, I can take direction, and I can take, if you
Mhm.
want to say orders now, let's just call
Sure.
it direction. But up until that point, there's no fucking way. I think I would have gotten blown out. I
Right.
just know myself well enough. But seriously, I don't think I ever knew that about you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it would have been good for me, I think, in a lot of ways. But like I said, I'm sure I would have fucked that up too because I fucked everything else up. So why would that have been any different?
Well, and the other thing too, think about how many stories that we've heard of people that were in the military, and how
Hmm.
the access they had to, and a lot of people, that's when they got into drugs, because
Sure.
either they weren't able to get their hands on alcohol, which seems weird maybe in some
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, but I know that the drugs and alcohol use and on the military side of things, because I remember being at meetings and having somebody say, and then I entered the military, and I'm like, I know where this one's going.
Hmm.
Because they're standing in front of a fucking podium. I know what happened.
Right. Right.
I mean, the end of the story is standing right in front of me. So I don't
Right.
think they were, completely all well and good in the military. But
Hmm.
yeah, like I said, I didn't know that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose at this point, at your age, yeah, you would be, because well, Dawn's husband Corey, he went in when he was shit 20 at the latest, 18 or
Right.
19, and he's
Hmm.
well, when they got married, which was 7 or 8 years ago, um, I think that's when he retired, because I think he's in his late 40s or about 50 right now. It was roughly within
Hmm.
that time frame. But yeah, he put in his 20,
Right.
and
Right.
he got
Exactly.
that part of it. So, but yeah, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Hmm.
I remember, him going through that at that point. So yeah, and he was super young. If you're 40, 42 or 40, whatever, when all that stuff
Right.
came about. So
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah,
Same.
it's a good thing, but whatever.
I know, but I'm just saying, every once in a while. I mean, and we talk about that sometimes. You and I actually hear stories that from
Hmm.
about each other that we're like, really? How the fuck did I never hear that? So, and this came up on another podcast I was listening to, and I don't know if you would ever had. I had plenty of opportunities to do this, but did you ever go to any conferences or like out of town meetings for work or anything like that anytime during your working life? Like where there might be drinking involved and stuff like that.
um, in sobriety.
No, no, no. In prior, when you were still drinking.
Oh, when I was still drinking and going to a work function.
Yeah, like a work conference or something like that. When you're going out of town for a training session or a meeting
Mm.
or that sort of thing.
Um, not really out of town. No,
Okay.
no, no. I mean, yeah, I went to a couple conferences and stuff, and I drank.
Right. No, it's just the because it was brought up, and I think you and I have touched on it. I know you and I have talked about it between the two of us. I don't remember if I talked about
Mhm.
it on here, but it was one of the podcasts, and the individual had gone to a conference, and he's been sober for a while now, but
Right.
same deal. You go to the conference, and this is what you're doing, and then what all the people do afterwards. And
Mhm.
he had said that when he was drinking, if he would have been in those circumstances, he would have just went back to his room, drank by
Mhm.
himself, and whatever, kind of still isolated type of thing. And I'm
Right.
like, man, that's not what I did. That was a big fucking party. I mean, going to
Right.
conferences,
Oh yeah.
shit. I went to, at a minimum, I went to probably four a year. For
Mhm.
clients and stuff like that, and everyone. I mean, you want to talk about excessive drinking, and these are all, these are healthcare facilities and all those sort of things that were our clients,
Mhm.
and and we were their vendor, but the whole point was it's usually the collection agencies were the ones buying the drinks for all the, for their clients. So
Sure.
it wasn't my fucking money. I mean, it it was temporarily, but a lot of times my
Right.
boss was there with me,
Uh-huh.
but the point with that is that, like I said, the podcast I was listening to, he said that, he would have been more of an isolation type of drinker at those things because he didn't want people to see him get out of
Sure.
control. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that never mattered to anyone. at those
Yeah.
conferences.
Yeah.
But I mean, I drank enough on my own, in a normal circumstance. It just, it's like going, like we talked about, going to a wedding or going to any type of circumstance like that. It was an opportunity to just, here's fire, let's throw some more fucking fuel on there, and that's what
Exactly.
we did. So,
Hmm.
but no, I didn't know in any of the stuff that you did, because I know you've done other things. Just, well, I don't know, even with your driving truck and stuff like that, there might have been conferences you went to. So just, I don't think anything that any question that's ever been brought up before that we've talked about. So
Right.
yeah.
No, I mean, office functions and stuff, and team building and all that crap, and yeah, there was a lot of drinking involved, and I usually win, so yeah.
And Mike wins again.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, and I skipped a couple of them, the Christmas party and a couple other things
Right.
like that. That after I got sober, because yeah, I'm like, I know what those. I've seen that whole scene play
Right.
out before, and
Patio.
I'm not doing that one. So I don't know. I think I might have. Trying to think if I have any other little things on here. You know what? This
I don't
this
know.
one's kind of a,
Yeah.
a quick.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this one's kind of a quick and easy one. Um, I know that I'm a perfectionist, and I think
Mhm.
you are to a certain extent. Maybe you are more so than I'm thinking. But um, perfectionism in any way, shape, or form, was that a problem for you while you were drinking, or was it ever a problem for you when you were sober? Just the perfectionism ideal or idea.
Right. Well, it was when I was drinking. Um, I used it as an excuse to not do anything. If I couldn't do something perfectly, then I just wouldn't fucking do it at all. Just go get
Right.
drunk. Yeah. So, yeah, I used it as a lame excuse not to do anything. Well, I can't do that perfectly, so I just won't do it.
Right.
Today I fail all the time, and I'm okay with it. I don't have to do things perfectly. I just have to keep trying. Progress, man, not perfection.
Yeah, and I know that that's one that I've had written down for a while, and
Mhm.
again, no idea where it came up, but I mean, I've always been, kind of a perfectionist. I don't think that, and I'm trying to think back now if, I don't know that it ever held me back necessarily from doing something like you mentioned. That's a good point,
All
though.
right.
Thinking if you
Yep,
can't,
that's what I did. And the other side of that is, other people, I use it to control them. And no, you need to do it. You're not doing it right. My way is the perfect way. Yeah, that fucking ego bullshit.
right,
Yeah. So yeah, I used it all the time for nefarious reasons. No, I don't today. I Things aren't going to be perfect. Things are never going to be perfect. I don't care. I'm just going to try to be the best I can be, and I'm going to fall short, and I'm okay with that.
right. Well, we had talked about it with, I mean, as recently as with Coach David about,
Mhm.
learning more from failures that we do sometimes from successes,
Absolutely.
and it is. I mean, that if you don't do if everything always just goes your way, you never, you're gonna at some points you're gonna get a monstrous kick in the balls,
Hmm.
because life's gonna
And
catch
you're
up
not
to
going to know
those.
how to deal with it. Yeah.
Right? Life's gonna catch up with those testicles sooner or later.
Yes, it will.
But yeah, it just, I don't know. It kind of crossed my mind, and I think to begin with, probably, even though I heard the progress, not perfection, part of it was a relief. But I still,
Hmm.
was kind of, I know for a fact. I mean, when it came to, again, my fourth step and going through all the different things that we've gone through, wanting to make sure you get shit right, because even though it doesn't have to be perfect, you don't want to fuck it up,
Hmm.
right?
Right. Oh yeah. You still want to do the best. Again, yeah. The excuse. So I'm not going to be able to do it perfectly. So I just won't do it.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to do it perfectly, and it's still going to be okay. It's going to
right.
be good enough. Gosh darn it, people like me.
You know what? And I think on those words, good enough. I think whatever we've done so far tonight, I think
Yeah.
it's good enough. I
I think
just
if once we piece all this together, it's going to be about 5 hours, so it'll be fine.
yeah, I don't even know, but yeah, I think I'm fucking done. Just
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
looking at my sheet and I got scribbles and I'm like, I think there's nothing else that's in any semblance of order. And I think we're living on borrowed time to make sure your Wi-Fi doesn't go out. So I
Exactly.
think we're good. All right,
We
man,
are.
run us out of here.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. It's been an adventure this time, kids, but we're glad you stuck with us. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week. And you know what? Don't tell anybody you did it. Just do it. And now it is that time. It is that time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying, you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over the gate. Dream the impossible dream. And keep fucking off forever.
It sounded like an old Superman episode or something. And real quick, in case anyone didn't see the post on it, speaking of Coach David, he had our entire episode
Hmm.
transcribed and put it into.
Yep.
You'll see the link on Facebook, but I
Mhm.
just scanned through it real quick. But specifically, went all the way to the end, and yeah, your ending is right out there in black and white. It's fucking awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, but he had a nice little preface in there for us, but I put him on our sponsor page on the Sober Not Mature site too. So
Oh,
yeah, I just figured we put him on there.
so
Keating Center
check
number
him
one.
out.
Yeah, everyone should. I mean, he's a good dude and he's doing good things for a lot of
Mhm.
businesses out there, but also just a good, solid, sober individual. So
Mhm.
yeah, if you get a chance, episode 69.
Eh.
All right, man. Once again, we're just done. I'm going to stop talking. So I love you,
Mhm.
brother, and I will talk
I
to you
love you
soon.
too. All
All right.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.